We are now live
Okay.
from.
Who's on the other end? How many people are possibly watching?
I don't know. We'll see.
I guess
This-
we'll
we don't
find
get
out. Right
the
now
link in-
0,
Well,
Okay.
this doesn't show the LinkedIn
but it's
stuff.
gonna. Oh, it doesn't show
Oh,
LinkedIn.
okay.
So hey,
Hey,
everyone,
we're live.
It's Cataloging Cocktails live from Data Council Austin.
I don't think there's booze in that.
There may not be booze in Ben's drink,
I think it's a
and
watermelon.
we've got beers, which is a little counter to the Cataloging Cocktails moniker, but
And there's some food around here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So-
it's been a fun conference so far.
Yeah,
We're in day 2.
and
Delicious.
we're
Thank
gonna
you.
start bringing in people here. This is gonna be a weird episode.
I just
we're
stuck out
live.
my nose.
So we're gonna just be pulling people in and asking them, what's your honest, no BS take on the data world at the data council? What did you learn? What are you annoyed about?
Yeah.
Ben, how's that?
I
What
don't
are
know
you
what
eating?
that is.
Is it cheesy enough?
I think it's like a fried mac and cheese thing. It's not great.
So what did you learn in the last 2 days here?
What did I learn? I learned that in 2021 we thought we were all changing the world, man. Turns out we're just hawking software. And mostly hawking software to each other.
And there's no booze in that one yet. So
Yeah. It's
But at least the bubble's a little burst now, and maybe
Yeah.
we're leveling out a little
now
bit, right?
this is when the real work begins. So there's
Yeah.
this thing that VCs say. Every time you raise money, it's the second most annoying thing. The first most annoying is when the economy goes to shit, and they're like, "This is when companies are forged," which I've already said earlier in this conference. The second most annoying thing is you raise money, and they're like, "Congratulations, we're so excited to have you as a partner," and all that. And then they're like, "And now the real work begins." And you're like, one, you asshole, and two, they're kind of right. Like, raising money doesn't really count for anything. We raised all the money, we spent all the money, we have none of it left. But now
the real work begins.
Yeah. Just we're kind of in debt. It's like,
So what's the actual real work that needs to be done then? So let me rephrase this.
okay.
What is the work that we have been doing if it hasn't been real then?
Well, we've mostly been making like swag and hosting conferences, and
I mean, stickers are nice.
there's some nice stickers.
Everybody likes stickers and things like that. So.
DLT Hub. I'm an investor in DLT Hub. That's a good sticker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll promote that one.
we like this.
All right,
That's a good one.
we got
Yeah.
that no BS the non-sales in line.
Yeah, buy DLT Hub. I don't know. Can you even buy it yet? I don't know.
Go to their website.
I'm
check
not
it
an
out.
informed investor.
I've not been working. We thought we were.
We were working. It's just that there's a lot of stuff that got created that's like it's noisy. It's what happens. It's how this stuff happens. It's progress. Progress is we all lurch forward and crazy things happen and we pick up the pieces and we keep going. And that's the optimistic stance that I probably should take.
Well, there's the AI thing now.
Heard of it.
Yeah. It may or may not save us all. I don't know.
I mean, I actually do think there's I don't think AI will save us. I do think it is an interesting discontinuity of sorts. And we've been trying a bunch of things in a particular way. It hasn't necessarily all gone great. I think there have been things that have been better. There's a lot of workflows that are better. It's much easier to do a lot of things now than it was before. It's not that much more valuable, perhaps, but it's easier. It's nice for the people to do it. I do think the AI has the potential to change the way that we think about what data is for and how we actually approach it. That is not a step change in the sense of oh my God, now we have a magic pot that will do everything for us, but a step change in the sense that sort of shuffles things up a lot, such that whatever comes out on the other side is suddenly a little bit of a different perspective on what we're trying to do with it, or data or whatever. There's a couple examples of this that are more specific.
That's a fair take.
I don't know if we have time for that on the
Twitch
stream.
On the Twitch stream.
Data
Well,
Twitch.
let me bring it on this side. We got Ernie, Ernie was one of the very early cataloging cocktails guests before we
Yes,
officially
cheers.
started to have guests.
Oh, you have a proper cocktail.
Ernie.
Ernie
I
was
have a
one of
high
our original, one of our early guests on the podcast. You've been in the data space for a very long time. Spent a good stint running product over at Manta. Now you're over at IBM, right?
Yeah, so back at IBM actually.
Back at IBM, that's true. Yeah.
It's the second time I've been through an acquisition there. So,
what's your
I was
honest?
with Data Stage originally with
Okay.
Essential
Oh, wow.
in 2005. So then, decided
The
to
so-called
leave.
legacy stack now, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. But actually, no. It's been reinvented on the cloud now, and pretty exciting.
That's true. That's true. That's
They
true.
brought back the brand from the ashes, and really saw its value in a hybrid cloud scenario. And so Data Stage is back and going, which is great
Ooh, that's good to
from
hear.
my
That's
perspective.
good.
I was a product manager for it back in 2000, so 24 years ago. But what's really cool about, I left IBM because I felt like they weren't paying enough attention to lineage. So I went to Manta because Manta was like an informal partner, but I left on good terms. It was all good. And then myself and others tried to, work it out so that we had a partnership with IBM again. And, I kind of thought maybe in the future that might be something that they'd want to pluck us and take us back. And it never thought it was going to happen as soon as it did. But in October, I became part of the team again. And my mission now is to make sure that everybody on my former team is cooperating with everybody on the new family that I belong to. And so far, it's going out really well. Pretty exciting.
So you got decades of experience and knowledge in the space, and now what have you learned in the last couple of days here that you're like, oh, this is actually different, better, going somewhere, or is this the same old stuff? What's your honest, no BS take here?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is, having done this ever since day one in my career, so 42 years of just working with data, and always in this same area that, at least we're all in terms of, helping data to be more consumable, better understood, whether it's lineage or it's the wonderful glossary work and stuff that you guys do to help people understand it better. So the one thing that kills me is that, 42 years ago, I was helping move data from MVS, COBOL files, moving it over to the user operating system at the time that was called CMS. And we've improved the technology, GUIs, we see stuff on our phones now. We create charts. They're all pretty, and we can do so much stuff with it. But the fundamental problem of having data that's not fit for user consumption is still exactly the same. We haven't gotten any better at, doing transformations at some other place. Oh, you have nicer tools to transform it with. If you want to talk about, DBT and all these great things now, and we went through Informatica and Data Stage, and years ago we were doing 4th generation languages. It's the same damn problem. The data is not understood by the users. They don't know what it is. They don't know where it is. They don't know what it means. They can't find the people that really know about it and care about it without having to pick up the phone, even with all the advancements that we've done. So the problem is still the same. And I think that's one piece that disappoints me a little
But
bit.
why? Why is it the same? Like, why do we still have these problems? I mean, this is something this keeps me up at night.
Because nobody actually wants it.
So it's like
If you're trying to sell the same thing for 40 years and nobody buys it, at some point you got to wonder, if you're selling something nobody wants.
Well, I think there's been attempts over the years, databases trying to put transformations, deep inside the database. And then I will tell you this, subtle things have improved. No one messes around with how to format dates anymore. Okay, and back in the day, a couple decades ago, before we cared about representing dates as an integer from some base date, the nightmares that used to occur just because somebody wanted to represent something in month, day, year versus year, month, day. I mean, it was just that was manipulation. That was transformation to move bytes around. I mean, that's a simple, primitive example, but at least we eliminated that problem. But still, we're still transforming data all over the place. It's probably stored a little bit nicer when it's in JSON or something, but I don't feel like we've solved that fundamental problem.
So 20 years from now, we're going to still have this problem. It's not going to get solved.
Maybe. Well, maybe we'll have AI to do the transformations for us.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe. I think what's interesting is the rate of change, right? Like obviously the data space, the AI space is constantly evolving, and because of that, I feel like we're always playing catch up, and I think that's one of the hardest parts.
Yeah, no.
Especially for anything that's going to be in the metadata layer or things like that, is you're always we got to integrate with more things. So I don't know, and I don't think that means it's inherently a bad thing. It just means that we're always playing a game of catch up.
And the users still feel the same way. You go to every site now, and even though they're using fancy tools, they're still frustrated with not being able to get what they need.
I guess it's also become just the status quo. People are just used to it. That's the way how life is, and period.
Yeah, for sure.
leaving kind of depressed with this.
I mean, that's, we can keep trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah. So what should we be doing?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's a good time.
All right. Well, did you learn anything new?
At this conference, it's only able to be here today, but I think seeing some of the cool stuff on vectorization and vector database and a couple of things like that, that was cool.
Yeah.
There's some good new startups here that are doing some creative things. I think that was really neat. I think learning a little bit more about orchestration as well. I mean, all I hear is airflow all the time, and you can compare it to other orchestration tools from the past, but it looks like there's some challengers now, which I think is good to see. You need more competition in that space to kind of level set.
Yeah, Dexter, et cetera.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the presentation that Pete did from Dexter. So I got to look into that a little bit more. So I think that'll be one big takeaway from me.
Yeah.
I think compared to previous years, and just I think the AI has gone up, and I feel BI is kind of like that one is
Booming.
going down.
Was BI big at this conference?
No, it's booming always.
Always
You
booming.
got to buy BI.
It's always booming.
Yeah.
I feel like it.
Most important part.
There weren't a lot of explicit talks about BI because I think it's so much just embedded in everything.
It's just
right?
understood that you need it.
Yeah.
Nobody was here selling laptops either.
Yeah.
No, that's a valid point. That's a valid point.
It's true. Yeah.
Gotta have your charts, man.
Dashboards? You dashboards?
Dashboards too.
I thought-
Conversational BI.
So now that Mode is part of ThoughtSpot, are dashboards dead?
I thought dashboards are dead. I'm just
shit.
I'm just reading,
Yeah,
saying things that I've read, repeating things.
No, they're being reinvented, man. It's good. They're all good. They're all good.
Dashboard,
Yeah.
mashup.
Hashboards. You need a hashboard.
Mash
I
up.
saw
We
that
have
here. I
different
was
names
wondering what
for it
that
all
was.
the time. It's like, how many different ways can we describe a place where you store data where you're going to access it for decision support?
Yeah.
It was an information warehouse in the late 80s, then moved to data warehouses and data marts, and now we have data lake houses. But really, when it comes all down to it, what's
What was the quote from
still
you?
just a storage location for data that you want to
The
get
quote
more
from last
value
week: "A lake house is where your data goes on for vacation." That was from Scott last week.
I like
I
that.
mean, at the end of the day, I always say it's like you move data, you store and compute data, and you use data. That's it.
Right. And that problem is like what I said. It's exactly the same,
Same
it was 40 years ago.
Yeah, and BI falls into the
Use
use
data.
part. Right? You got to
Yeah.
use the data. You got to analyze it.
Most important thing.
Now, in all fairness, the technologies that have come along have been able to handle larger volumes.
Yeah,
They're
for
more
sure.
efficient. I mean, so you can't poo-poo
Yeah, but-
on the technology, but the problem is still the same thing that we're doing.
All right. Well, Tim, what have you learned?
Well, I think that the talk that I enjoyed was from Drew, the CTO of Honey Hive. That was today, and he was talking about LLMs for evaluating other LLMs, and that was a cool talk. I like that because
Go ahead.
sounds good. And so I thought that was interesting. One of the reasons why I'm here is I want to understand the AI stack more
There we go.
and how all these things are fitting together. And so that was an interesting thing for me. So like, different
That's cool.
different LLMs. An interesting thing was the biases. That like certain LLMs have biases. Like for example, GPT-4 actually has a tendency to prefer its own responses. Whereas if you feed it Claude and Llama and things like that, it doesn't. It tends to be more critical.
What if you lie to it and you say this is your response, which is not?
That's a good question.
What would it do then?
I mean, also in this morning, Joe Gonzalez from Berkeley, because I think that the work from this lab at Berkeley was the one who started. Like, we can use LLMs to do the comparison, and they realized like, oh well, if I say compare this with that, well, always the first thing you gave it is the thing it kind of had more biased preference to. So it's like, so when they actually started doing the analysis of the result of the thing they did, they realized, oh, didn't do it that very, we didn't do that well. So I think that's why people are realizing that we need to have different ways of evaluating this.
Yeah. So what did you like the most,
But,
or get the most from so far? I think it's tomorrow too.
oh, I mean, I think I'm with Ben. It's like we're seeing the same thing over and over again, and yeah, everybody's AI is the same conversations about AI. I mean, I think it's. I'm not leaving with something, wow, blown away. I think we're just continuing to hear the same thing that we were hearing on the LinkedIn's, on the blogs. So, um, but I guess that's what it's more validation. I guess what's
Right.
coming up.
Now,
Okay.
if you guys done data council before, it seems like it's a very good place for vendors to certainly meet up. I don't know how many
I think it's a good place
customers and decision makers come here.
Yeah, it's that. It's a party for the people who are in the industry.
I don't know about party. We're all learning something, but I get your point.
Yeah.
And a good place for startup vendors looks like.
Well,
Yeah.
I think this is an opportunity for a lot of the startups who are just starting. Right, that's how they kind of.
I'm gonna go to this demo thing.
Yeah.
Cheers.
See you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And how much recruiting happens in these hallways?
Mhm.
I wonder.
Yeah.
That's a good opportunity.
Well, you've got
to
you've got
get to know
VCs
people
walking
and get real.
around, you've got startups walking around, people who are data engineers, data scientists, looking
Yeah.
for kind of where's the next spot they want to be at,
Yeah.
right? So
I
Or
would say
vice versa if you want to poach
yeah.
somebody.
I
It's
think
a
of it
great
as kind of
poaching
it's
location.
kind of a cool kids in data kind of situation, which I enjoy, but it certainly is a specific thing, right?
going back to I want to update my answer. I think yesterday there was a good data culture and people conversations. That one I like. I mean, I think that's an important stuff. People just understand a lot of it. It's kind of seems obvious, but then I realize it's not obvious. It's like, hey, how do you understand the business value so you know that what you're doing is like
Sure.
kind of 101, but I realize that it's not 101 for a lot of people. So I actually appreciate. I'm very grateful and thankful to know that people are actually going to those types of conversations. And I think I'd argue that the folks who are actually eager to learn more about the people, the culture, the business sides, they're the next leaders.
Makes sense.
They're the ones who are going to be connecting the dots all the way, who'd be able to go talk, be technical, and go all the way talk right into the business. So it's like, what's it called? This guy from AWS, Gregor Hope, he has this analogy going up the architect elevator. Should be able to go down to the engine room, but go all the way to the penthouse and be able to understand and navigate that. Yeah. Not many people do that. I think that's a superpower. But I do genuinely believe that something you can learn. That's something you can go learn, and then you figure out where you feel more comfortable and then who you partner more with and so forth. So
now the most successful data professionals I always thought were ones that may have had a programming background. They had some level of technology. They felt comfortable with it, but it wasn't their thing. They didn't want to dive in and just start coding Java or something. So they gravitated towards something that once they learned the business, they could do exactly what you're saying and bring the two together. And those have been the people that then became data governance professionals. I mean, you can take that wherever you want, but it's always somebody that can kind of put one foot in both camps.
Yeah, bridging the two sides.
Right.
So from a generational point of view, people are just starting their careers now. Are we going to see that to continue? Is that continue to happening? Or let's rephrase this. I sometimes feel that we're going to not see that anymore. That there's a new generation coming out of just new technical folks, and they're either going into one side or the other, but that bridging part is missing. I haven't.
It could be, but you want to get me on a soapbox?
Yes.
Here?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that is good is that there are degrees now in things like data science.
That's true.
So some places are training folks to be data people. Now, how well they blossom in that and how well whether they go down a rat hole or not, it will be interesting to see. But at least we're teaching people the value of data. And if that's got to be part of any curriculum that's designed towards a data science oriented degree. At the same time, especially coming from an ETL background, it kills me to see that people are coding in solutions like Python that are interpreted code. It's the same as the damn interpreted code that I was dealing with in fourth generation languages in the 80s. Can't figure it out unless you want to go pouring through and reading through somebody's code. They can be as creative and free as they want to without any rigidity, and nothing comes out of it that tells you that it's metadata oriented. And that's what ETL tools really did. You dragged and dropped, you pointed and clicked, it built all this SQL behind the scenes. You didn't have to think about SQL. It just all took care of it. And now I see people pouring their life into Python and doing stuff in Spark. I'm nothing against that, but it's just amazing that they just dropped all this tooling that did a lot of that work for you.
I mean, I wouldn't say I have things against that. I think that's the wrong thing to do.
Well,
don't you think?
Clearly, there's low code tools that are surviving, trying to make their case.
Yeah.
Matillion and others. I suppose maybe DBT fits into that paradigm as well. Yeah. But there's still a ton of people that are just saying, just open the code and just go for it. So somewhere there's a population, in this younger generation that's coming into the world now that just says, no, I just want to do it myself. Yeah. The heck with it. And they're going to create code that 2 decades from now, we're still going to be trying to decipher.
Yeah. So I think this is interesting because, the modern data stack paradigm was very focused on EL, extract load, right, into the data lake. And then, of course, DBT very much rose to prominence around the T, right? So now that it's in the data lake, I can go do,
sure.
T to it until I get it into the shape that I want it to be in, right? We kind of threw away a lot of the the ETL, right, kind of approach that,
we threw the T.
People can complain about Informatica and things like that, right? But ultimately, there was a paradigm that was established there around ETL to integrate data and transform it.
And
to
for
get
a
it
long
shape
time, though, it was
right?
bashing its heads against ELT that was pushed by companies like Teradata.
Yeah.
Which basically said load the garbage data into Teradata, right, and then transform it inside of there because it would be more efficient to do it there. So that was also a ELT approach as opposed to an ETL approach.
Yeah.
And those two used to clash with each other kind of all the time.
So have we learned anything from all this? What's the takeaway?
I don't know. That's why I'm
integration sucks. I don't know, right?
I'll tell you a story. Let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
So I'm going way back now, but I did a presentation where I had actually constructed from the fourth generation language that I grew up on, which was Focus. That's what I cut my teeth on.
I'm actually not familiar with Focus.
Information builders.
Information builders. Yeah.
They're still out there.
Yeah.
Awesome tool. But I built this sophisticated report that actually generated a calendar from a database. It was, at the time in 1988, it was like pretty cool. But I finished this whole presentation and I got a comment. Back then it was written comments. There's nothing on their phones. They actually had to write out what they felt about your presentation. And it was from a guy at the time who was clearly my age now, who said, "Amazing presentation, Ernie, but we're still going to be deciphering in 15 years, 20 years, all the code that you're building now and how the heck you actually pulled it off." And so it makes me laugh because that was a 100% runtime parsed language, no compilation, just you go on the fly. And that's clearly where I see the attraction to Python now. You get instant results because you can just sit there and just code and go away.
Yeah. See what it looks like.
But people are writing code that is not maintainable.
So
it worries me.
Okay, so write the letter for your old self, right? Write the letter for the junior kind of data professional now. What would you tell them?
I would probably want to bring in a lot of the things that Pete from Dagster talked about. Is that you've got to be conscious of the assets that you're working with. And so inside of your workflow and inside of your transformations, give respect to the assets and the metadata that they produce and who they belong to and what they mean, what they own, like stuff that's your domain in the catalog, while you're trying to code these transformations.
So I think the key word that was respect. And I think that's what's missing, is that I should have respect for what I'm trying to interpret what this means, and I should have respect for that, what that mean is, and I should have respect for the people who are actually going to make use of the stuff that I'm writing right now.
Mhm.
And I think that is a sort of empathy also, that I think
Yeah.
we just don't
Empathy
we
is a
don't
good
we
word
don't
there.
we don't treat this.
Right.
My argument is that we don't treat the semantics, the metadata knowledge
Yeah.
with the respect it deserves.
It's just a dumbass string sitting in JSON. Nobody
exactly.
cares.
No, I'm just going to write this
But-
code.
yeah.
That's,
Another thing I think about though, which is connected to respect, is a code of conduct, right? Where
Ooh, I like this.
and this is where so we know the guys over at Data Kitchen, for example, run the whole data ops kind of manifesto and all that, right?
That nice infinite diagram.
Yeah, so I mean
love
that's good stuff, right? I mean, like that kind of thing exists on software, right? We all know what agile means in software, right? But we don't have that similar level of respect and thoughtfulness on the data side. I mean, and I'm not going to say that categorically about everyone, but
Right.
it's not at the same level, and so people aren't thinking about how they're gonna do the right things to balance resilience and future proofing with let me sling some Python and just get from A to B, right?
Right. And for what it's worth, it's also the pressures that's always been on the business. It's a whole lot, cheaper.
Well, I think
to
this
make a
goes
quick
back to what I
change.
always say. It's a balance
Yeah.
between efficiency and resilience, and this stuff, being respectful and empathetic is not always the fast thing to go do. So
And that's been true
I
forever.
need to get shit done, so I'm just going to do it fast. So
Right.
sorry, I'm barging through, but hey, we got more folks who want to come in.
Yeah.
All right, come on.
More-
I mean,
more
you
hot
can stick
takes.
around. Have
Yeah,
time.
no,
Yeah,
I don't know.
we're
I'm
good
going
for
to
to hang
move around
out.
over here so we can get somebody else
Great.
in the camera.
Hey, so
Reza?
Reza,
Hey,
Finally good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
How would
to
you, how
meet
would you like to give
Come
a
on.
quick takeaway?
we're here live.
We're doing hot takes.
Yeah.
Are you cool? Live?
We're live,
Yeah,
right.
cataloging cocktails.
Okay.
Reza, talk about where you're from and
what's
how's
your
the conference
and
been
what's
for
the
you?
honest, no BS take right now?
Yeah.
Oh, on everything. Okay. So my name is Reza Puri. I'm CEO and founder of ProductBot AI. Here today at the Data Council, and just got in a little bit late today, so I don't have a hot take on this in particularly just yet. So
But in general, what's your honest, no BS take of the data world right now?
of the data world, I think I think we're at this critical juncture between how generative AI uses data and uses it effectively to get high quality results, right? And so what I've been seeing over the past year running a Gen AI startup is a lot of companies, they want to use their data, but they don't want to put their data into the AI systems yet. There's an issue of data privacy and data leakage, who controls the data, right? And so I've seen, these closed box models like OpenAI getting a lot of flack. I've seen a lot of, we do not want to use OpenAI. This is our agreement with you. Sorry, use something else, right?
Yeah.
And so these
We see the same.
these black box models are catching a lot of flack because they're not open and they're not transparent. And I think openness and flexibility of where your AI kind of gets deployed helps the data get unlocked.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's my hot take.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know.
No,
I like it. Did you learn anything interesting in the conference that you didn't know before you came in?
I got
hot
here
takes.
super late today.
Oh, did you?
I
Okay.
came in last minute, coming in hot from a couple of meetings. So
Oh, no, that's cool. Well,
Yeah.
curious to hear what you find out. I feel like at Data Council, it's about the parties afterwards. So you get the happy hour of the parties. That's where you're going to figure out
Right.
some new stuff. So
we got another one.
Yeah.
Solomon, come on in.
yeah, Solomon.
All right.
All
All right.
I gotta get going.
All right,
One,
see you, man.
pleasure.
Cheers.
Thanks
We're
a lot.
live
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now,
appreciate
so
it.
yeah. What's your honest, no BS take on what you've learned here at Data Council?
Data Council and then the
The
data
data world,
world in
whatever.
general.
Oh my god.
Honest, no
Oh my
BS,
God.
non-salesy take. Data,
Non-sales. Let's see. Okay, so catalogs and cocktails, non-alcoholic cocktail.
Yeah.
we got a
let's see.
beer, so no contact.
There you go.
Yeah, all good. All
All
good.
good. My biggest hot take from this conference, I saw a talk on A/B testing, and one of my biggest, probably controversial opinions that I've literally never shared anywhere until just now on this is that A/B testing oftentimes doesn't work for business cases in the way that we would like it to. A lot of the core assumptions on whether on experimentation have been cargo culted from academia into business, where it's not as true, and listening to the confidence of some of the people who are like super pro A/B testing, I don't think it's justified. That's my super hottest take that I have that I've literally
Okay,
never
so
shared before.
give an example on like, okay, people are saying you should do A/B testing on this particular scenario, and you're like,
But here's
bullshit.
how it actually plays out, or
Bullshit,
whatever,
that's
right?
one
Yeah.
word.
I mean, like, just to start, there are some really flawed core assumptions, like the 95% confidence interval for business decision making. Like, business decisions are not made with nearly 95% confidence in almost any case. For scientific testing, you're trying to find like truths that people can build on top of in like a peer referenced way. That's not business decision making. And so if you only, I mean, listen, if you're Amazon and you want to be damn sure that nothing that you do accidentally tanks revenue by 20%, then yes, you want to stay mostly static and only make a change when you're absolutely sure that it can't mess anything up. For most other companies, for most other use cases, that's not your situation.
Yeah.
And A/B testing should be seen more as a way to keep things static without ever making a mistake versus like, if you have that business, great.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that business, then you don't have that
So
business.
this is an interesting topic here. So I want to even double click one more click here, which is that, why do you think this is, right? Is it because of instrumentation? Like, for example, if you're an e-commerce company or Amazon, you can instrument more detailed, or is it around things like the difference between trying to optimize a local maxima versus a more interesting global kind of point that you're trying to jump to? Or like, what's your take on why
There's
it doesn't
like
work?
so many things that are wrong.
Okay,
Not
it's
even
many.
just
It's
the
plethora.
95, the 95% confidence interval.
I like this.
This is a real hot take.
This
This
is
is like
good.
a real hot take.
Well,
over
but I
here.
think it's a practical point. I mean, it's not to say don't do A/B testing, right? Because there's a lot of places where it's very useful, but it also explains like why a lot of companies aren't doing a ton of A/B testing or ABC or whatever kind of testing you want to do, right, on various decisions and various things. It's because it's maybe in many cases it's not that you're bad because you're not doing it. It's like, oh, it's like actually not applicable.
Yeah. So and even when it is applied, it's oftentimes applied incorrectly. So,
Yeah, I can get the assumption. So
yeah.
that was a good one. Thanks. That was our
That's
one.
mine.
All right, we got somebody else.
I appreciate it.
Julian, want to join us?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, come on in. Yeah.
We're
So-
here.
Hello.
live.
Oh, it comes with
Julian
the.
Madame, welcome to Catalog and Cocktails.
Thank you.
Honest
Are we
OBS.
live?
We're live.
We are
We've been
live,
live
yeah.
for over half an hour now.
So we're here at the Data Council in Austin.
Hello.
Yeah.
So,
Great
what-
talks today.
Thank you.
Honest. What's your honest, no BS take on what you've learned here at Data Council and in general in the data world right now?
I mean, my favorite part is the hallway track, right? Like you catch up with people, like with John. Hey, say hi.
John, get
Hey.
your face.
With Wes, with other people. And so I've been busy today because I was track host and I spoke and I was moderating a panel. So I've been all over the place. So I'm kind of, on of just the stress and all that, and
Yeah.
just like getting on a kind of relaxing now.
Yeah.
It's been great. A lot of good people, good discussions. It's been great. So on the data engineering track, which is the one I focused on, it's been great to see more talk about data fusion, Arrow, talk about orchestration, talk about
Yeah.
lineage, talk about various things like that. And it's been great. Oh, I met Andrew Lamb in person. That was great. I think we had interacted before on social media and stuff, but it's the first time we met in person. And
Yeah.
we actually reconnected when I started Parquet. I had read this Vertica paper. There's a Vertica 7 years later paper. And he actually is the main author on the paper, which I didn't realize. And it was great. Oh my God, there's lots of influence
Yeah.
both directions.
I feel like this conference is always like bringing, the data kind of influencers and ground shakers, groundbreaker kind of type of people. Let's bring them all
Oh, yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah.
Right. give some
Talk
talks,
about this.
some
Harold,
things.
come on over.
So there's a lot of decision of things, open source things that happen in the hallway.
What am I joining here?
I know we're live right now.
Welcome to Catalog and Cocktails.
Our podcast.
okay.
I sincerely
What's-
did not mean to do this.
What's your honest, no BS take on what you've learned in the conference, just in the data world in general?
Wow. That I don't want to do too much AI, and I want to keep focusing on data.
That's an honest, no
Hot
BS take
take.
right there.
That's my honest.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion.
I don't care. I don't care.
I'm sure there's some people who are listening right now who are
Like-
like, you know, this AI thing's kind of weird. I'm not sure I'm into it.
The listener number is going up.
Oh, yeah.
This is not even counting the LinkedIn listeners and stuff. But
Yeah.
okay, so why? Or just AI is just you're annoyed?
No,
or is it-
I'm not annoyed. I'm just like, I really love data. I really love data infrastructure, and that's just always been the thing that it makes me happy. So I want to keep doing that.
So you don't do AI infrastructure?
What's the difference?
Exactly.
Same thing, right?
You may get
Exactly.
drafted into it automatically, right?
I guess I am. That's okay.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
not
gonna
by
call
choice.
it what it is.
No, that's good. I did appreciate that of all the tracks, only one of them was generative AI track. It wasn't. I was worried that maybe it was going to dominate the conference, but actually, I think that it's been balanced.
In our data lineage panel, no one said AI. I think maybe Sherry
No.
Oh,
Or-
she
brought up the
brought it
AI.
up at the
yeah.
end. We should have kicked her out. Of the
Yeah,
panel at this point.
exactly.
Anybody
No,
who says
but
AI
it was a take on like you can't expect the lineage to be done by the AI. That's why you actually need the real lineage.
Oh yeah.
So
That was a fair
She
it
was
was
like,
a fair. Yeah. So
yeah. I guess we could try.
Yeah.
Yes.
all right.
That's a good
So
point.
long live data AI.
Long live data.
Long live data.
That's all I'm
leave it
gonna
like
say.
that.
Not gonna
Yes.
diss on anyone. We have to go.
All
have
right,
to
you
go.
guys have to go.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Follow me on Twitter.
Don't follow me on Twitter. Follow him.
Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate
Cheers,
it.
thanks. All right. Well, Tim.
I mean, it's always fun getting to meet up with friends, with colleagues, with contacts, and yeah.
Oh, wait, there's people over there walking by. Ryan. All right, I'm just trying to follow people to get in here.
Okay, still one of those?
Yeah, we're live here.
Oh, you are.
Come on,
Oh,
say
hey,
say,
how's it
say
going?
come over here.
All right. Welcome
What's
to
up,
Catalog
everybody?
and Cocktails.
Oh, hey.
Yeah,
It's
we're
my first-
streaming live.
Hey, Joe. All right. Okay, we're still here. So, what's your honest, no BS take on what you've learned at the conference, in the data world in general?
Yeah.
Oh man, put me on the
Learnings or hot
spot.
takes?
Yeah.
My hottest take. I would say my hottest take is that we still have a long way to go with AI, folks. It's all we're talking about, and yet, we still have a long way to go. Especially, one thing I'm sick of is talking to people about text to SQL. I will tell you that because I think you and I, Juan, both know that this is not going to work. At least without some good metadata layer in the middle that is giving the AI meaningful information in order to generate query results.
Without the
AI is going to start.
Right.
Without
exactly.
the context, there's no magic.
There is no magic.
I'll tell people very explicitly, if you're going to do all this chat with your data over your structured SQL data, you're not putting any context, you will fail.
There you go.
Don't be a failure.
Yeah, I agree
Speaking of
completely.
failures,
Yeah.
Hey,
My-
Joe, what's your honest no BS
My
take?
hot take is that I'm part of the grandfather club here at.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one
Don't
of
say that.
I'm
You're
one-
looking good.
I'm one of the ancients. Like these young kids are solving such phenomenally interesting problems. And-
It's okay, Joe. Old guys.
Oh, guys. But while I feel like we do have a long ways to go, it's really inspiring to see like the iteration speed that this
Oh, yeah.
young generation is building. Like my ultimate goal in life is to upload myself, and so I feel a little bit better after seeing what's happening. I'm one step closer. So
You're like, we might get there in
Yeah,
the next
exactly.
couple of
No,
decades.
we're
here.
gonna get there.
Well, it's just interesting because we had Ernie Ostick from IBM Manta, and he's kind of saying the opposite. It's like we're still solving the same problems that was
Well-
solving 20 years ago, 40 years ago, and
yeah, well, we still get flat tires. We fight about where to go eat dinners. We can't hook up a laptop in a conference room. We get a common cold.
Printers get jammed.
But yeah, AI is amazing.
Yeah, I love this. I love when we just go back here. That was a great one. We'll still be complaining about that. What should we watch on Netflix and all that stuff, right?
Yep. But
All right.
maybe we don't need to solve those problems,
Yeah.
right? Those are the truly human
Those
things.
are the human thing. That's what keeps us human.
Yeah.
But all right, Ryan. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
Appreciate it.
Take
Yeah.
care, man.
Yeah.
This is cool. You're doing live from the show.
Oh, thanks.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's fun.
Anybody else? We've been talking for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And people are inside. Probably get another beer.
Yeah. I guess we'll get another beer. John, did you want to get any hot take in? Are you good?
I'm good.
You're good. All right.
All right.
How about this for a hot take?
All right.
Hey, everybody. It is awesome to be able to work with these two guys. I hope everybody's enjoyed the hot takes from Data Council. It's been a long time since I've made an appearance on Catalogs and Cocktails, maybe 4 years even.
Yes, I think you're one of the true OGs. Yeah.
But it has been, I guess my hot take is, it has been incredibly fun to be here at Data Council, to be able to see old friends like HO and Julian, and new friends like our friend Reza, who's just behind us right now, who gave a hot take earlier. And it is always great to just see what people are actually working on, right? And I think that's the point of this event, is to see people working on real problems, figure out what those solutions look like, and then figure out how to get them to scale. And I think that's where we're at with a lot of this generative AI talk, is how do we scale these solutions? How do we make them trustworthy, and how do we get these things into production? Saw so many great talks on that, from, the one that Tim and I were in on evaluating LLMs, to things like, you meet new friends here too, like, folks from Pinecone who are talking about like how you make reg applications better, and, different methods of fine tuning. And I think that to get practical like that is really special, and to be in a space where you can do that. It's been great to do it in our hometown.
That's the other thing. We're lucky to get in Austin. Yeah.
It's always fun to do this in Austin, right? In our backyard here. And I think that was well stated.
We got more.
Yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
Oh, there we go. We got
Okay,
podcast
we're here.
going.
We're live.
Come on in, Paul.
So,
We're live. Okay.
Paul, honest, no BS takes about Data Council and data world in general.
So I think one of the most interesting talk that I went to was this one on evals, and the reason for on like large language model evals.
Was it the Honey Hive one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's like the 4th time it's already come up.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That may
Okay.
have been one of the breakouts of the conference. Yeah.
So I think it was, and the reason for that is that the evals are very, very unsolved right now. And the problem, the reason that is the case is because most of the actual development happens, and it's local. It's stuff that you're doing in CI, like when you're running these processes to determine, hey, is this change good to deploy, to production? Like, is this legit? But most of the vendors trying to help with evaluation are like up in the cloud. So like what he went through is the actual pipeline that some really serious companies are doing to be able to do this, to be able to get the right systems in place to do eval through this sort of multi-stage process where you go through this, sort of vibe test, and then you go through, a little bit more sophisticated testing, and then that just gets more and more sophisticated going on. So it was really cool. It was one of the better things I've heard on LLM evals, which I feel like is a very under talked about area, because it's so important to building a non-deterministic app.
Yeah, that was a good one, and he helped it be not cryptic.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like some black magic.
I'm
He was
pissed off.
very
I missed
incremental.
this talk.
You should have been there, man.
I took a couple screenshots
Okay.
of some of his slides. Yeah, it was very good. Drew over at Honey Hive. So appreciate you if you're listening in, or if this makes its way over to you. So yeah,
All right.
appreciate it. Any other hot takes or learnings? Or
That's my one right there.
awesome.
All right.
So cool. Thanks for
Steve
stopping
Bell.
by.
All right.
All right. Maybe final takeaways and hot takes.
This is the first time that we haven't done the takeaways.
I know, no takeaways or takeaways. Well, my at least conclusion statement's going to be, this is a fun conference because everyone's just it's smart people trying to figure stuff out and sharing what they're learning, sharing the progress, and sharing some open questions and skepticism too, right? Like, modern data stack, data mesh, all these things, there's a lot of good stuff happening, AI, right? A lot of good stuff happening, and there's also a lot of question marks. So we've got work to do, everybody, in the data and AI space, and let's roll our sleeves up and figure it out.
That's it.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks everybody for listening in, and we'll be back next week.
Yep, see you
Bye,
next
everybody.
week.